Hi everybody, Sydney Rock here, back again to talk about negotiations, and more specifically today's video I'd like to continue the series on body language by talking about what is, in my opinion, probably one of the most misinterpreted gestures to anyone who becomes new and gets initiated into body language, which is face scratching. Now, by the end of this video, I'm going to share with you what the three main reasons that people scratch their faces within the context of body language, and give you some tools to really make sure that you can tell the difference between the three within context. And I want to before I start, I want to put that little asterisk on this video, which is you should never ignore the three rules of body language, which I covered in my first video on body language called The Secret to Reading People Like a Book. I think that everything that I said in that video stands, but in this video I'm going to talk about a gesture as if it stands on its own. And there are a lot of reasons why face scratching tends to jump out at people, whether or not they're new at body language. Because, first of all, when we're talking to someone, we look at their faces. So if I scratch my face like this while I'm talking to you, it's going to stand out more than where my feet are pointing. So the other reason is that, well, actually, you know what? Let's forget about the reasons. Let's talk about my story. Basically, I started getting into the body language about 7 or 8 years ago, and at first I was pretty bad at it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to take in, and even when you're doing the job of reading gestures in clusters to look at a whole sentence instead of a single word, there are a lot of things that you do wrong. You do a lot of misreads and things like that. And I'd often make the mistake of sharing my reads with people. So I'd be kind of like that annoying psychology student that keeps diagnosing everything you do based on a single thing that you do. I think you know a bit what I'm alluding to. And over time, I became good at it. And basically, what I want to do is talk about, let's get into face scratching. So there are three main reasons why people will scratch their faces in the context of body language. Again, sometimes your face is just itchy. I get it. I'm probably going to come back to that later on in this video. So the first reason is when you're trying to deceive the person that you're talking to. And the second reason is when when you suspect that the person that you're talking to is trying to deceive you. And the third reason, which I believe the first two reasons are kind of offshoots of the third reason, which I'm going to mention, is when you're thinking about things that you dislike, or when you see something that you dislike or you disagree with. What I call, "Oh man, this sucks." That kind of face scratch is probably the most common. And the reason why I say that the other two are offshoots of this is because a healthy, normal person who isn't a sociopath doesn't like deceiving people, doesn't like deceiving the person that they speak to. Now, the reason that we do it anyway is because it's so convenient. It's really convenient often to hide the whole story from the person, or to tell little white lies, or these kinds of things. So when a healthy person does that, they'll tend to scratch their face when they're not really paying attention. The other thing, and again, there are all sorts of gestures and clusters that indicate deception or suspicion. I'm really focusing on face scratching, which is why that's all I'm going to be talking about in this video. But the other thing is when you suspect that someone is trying to deceive you, the reason, in my opinion, the reason that we'll scratch our faces is because it kind of sucks to pretend to believe them in the moment. Like, let's put a really simple example. Let's say there's a person, Timmy, here, and I say, "Hey Timmy, what are you doing this weekend?" And Timmy says, "Sid, I'd love to do something, but I have plans." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah." And while I'm doing that, I scratch my face, but I'm pretty sure that if I was in a situation where, "Hey Timmy, what are you doing this weekend?" "Oh, I have plans," You're lying to me. You're lying right to my face, you lying liar. Stop it. You're full of shit. Stop lying to me. You're lying. That is probably something that I could do without scratching my face. And the third reason, again, when you're thinking about things that suck, that you dislike, often you will scratch your face when you're doing that. And the thing, again, I'm coming back to this, the thing that will help you distinguish the different contexts in which you scratch your face is to really obsessively pay attention to your own body language. Because again, I like to think that I could read people's minds, but the bottom line is the cold hard truth is that I can just guess. No matter how confident I am in a read, I can only guess, and I can make a bit like reading out a poker hand. You can only come up with a bunch of plausible stories as to why this gesture cluster happened, and the story either makes sense within that context or it doesn't. So, wait, I lost my train of thought. I'm not going to pause this time. Okay, yes. So, basically when you're when you catch yourself scratching your face, I invite you to pay attention to what you were thinking and what was going on when you scratched your face. And often, this is even true when you're reading an article. If you catch yourself reading an article, if you catch yourself scratching your face while you're reading an article, if you pay attention, you'll often notice, at least this is true for me, and I don't think I'm that different from other people, but when I scratch my face while reading an article, the sentence that I was reading when I was scratching my face tends to be a sentence that either I don't believe what the sentence reads, usually a quote from a politician, or I disagree with what the sentence says. These are the two main contexts in which I will scratch my face when reading an article. So it's this kind of thing that has led me over the years to really become good at making distinctions between what happened. And a really simple example that happened to me the other day. I was coming into work, and a coworker, let's use Timmy again. So I say hi to my coworker, I say, "Hey Timmy," and Timmy goes, "Hey man, how's it going?" And when I caught that, I instantly said, okay, there are a couple reasons. Now I'm wording this out, but this all happened within like a fraction of a second. I'm like, okay, something tells me either Timmy doesn't remember my name or Timmy doesn't like me. That's not a likely story since I'm a pretty likable guy for the most part. The other possibility, which came maybe a few seconds later, the first two was either Timmy doesn't remember my name or he doesn't like me. And a few seconds later, I'm like, okay, maybe he was dealing with a dick of a client that rattled him so much that's still on his mind, and that's why he was scratching his face. So with experience and over time, as you begin to pay attention to these things, it'll be that much easier for you to pay attention and always read it within context, read it in clusters, look for congruence. Those three rules always, always, always in play. And that's another reason why the face scratching stood out, because he's like, "Hey buddy, how's it going?" His face is smiling and everything, but there's this little thing here that's telling a different story. Yeah, so basically when over time it'll be that much easier for you to make reads like that and just come up with a plausible story as to why that gesture cluster happened. So that'll be it for today. If you want to know more about negotiating, body language, sales, and marketing, there's a link at the bottom of this video right under here that you can click on. There's a link to a video. You can just watch it and you'll learn a lot. I'll see you on the other side of that. Whether or not you decide to click on the link and watch the video, I thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you soon. Hopefully, hopefully tomorrow. It should be worth it. So I'll see you soon. Later.